Welcome back to He's on Fire podcast, the off-season edition, and episode 98. Almost to 100. It's taken like 6.5 years, and that's fine. But welcome back. Wish it could have been under better circumstances that we bring back my man, Suns fan Randy, and of course we got Jay Joyce. We have a lot, obviously, we need to cover, right? Right now we got the Diamondbacks in a B delay, so no real updates right on the Diamondbacks right now, but we're going to talk about Ishbia, Frank Vogel, the big three, the Coyotes movement, and we're going to get into everything, so keep it right here. Let's go.
Urgavici sets, loads up, beating one deep, and it is caught!
Blitz coming, Palmer extending the play. Nobody there. Crosses the field. Larry Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald is insane to the 4-yard line.
Crowder looking, throws it alley. Oh! He puts it down! He puts it down!
Neal inbounds. Desmond Cambridge. Oh! Arizona State has done it!
As I said, we're going to get into a lot of things tonight, and I don't want to waste pleasantries. We all know who Jay is. Y'all know who I am. Randy, it's been a minute, dog. How have you been overall? I know we've been texting back and forth this whole season, but we haven't potted in a while. You good?
Yeah, I'm good, as good as I can be. You know what I'm saying, with the Suns being done and all. So I'm hanging in there just like everybody else.
On the bright side, living in L.A., you ain't got to worry about Lakers fans talking shit, right? You got that stupid Dodger cap on right now?
Yes, I do. Yes,
God
I do.
damn it, man. See, the night that we
still haven't gotten
played
the
the
campaign
Dodgers,
one.
too.
Yeah, no, I couldn't find the Diamondback one I had, so I was just like, all right, gotta go back to Old Faithful. So, but
Man, everybody, welcome in, Classy Nasty, Salty's here, getting over a fever. Wish you well.
Yeah.
Everybody, hit the like button, subscribe, all that fun shit. But let's get right into it now. The Phoenix Suns, the big disappointment. I think that's what we're gonna call this season. Just the big disappointment. We could go back and forth about X's and O's, this and that, but I want to start at the top, the tippy top. The man, the one, the only, the Michigan State alum, Matt Ishbia, comes in, cleans up Robert Sarver's mess, immediately trades for Kevin Durant. I kind of want to start there with this. Matt Ishbia has done a lot of good. Look what he's done with the Mercury and getting the new practice court for them, the facility for all the workers to work at, right? Everybody that works for the Phoenix Suns, a new place. Putting it on Channel 3 TV, giving out all the damn antennas. I mean, we could go on and on about all the good things that he's done, and we're not being supported by Robert Sarver. That alone is a good thing. But is he meddling too much? This is a two-part question. Is he meddling too much? And is Isaiah Thomas actually in control? There's a lot of rumors that have been flying around from right when he bought it, remember? Right when he bought it, people were wondering if Isaiah Thomas was gonna come on board. There was a report that he was going to, and then boom, immediate backlash from Suns Nation saying, no, we don't need that kind of dude in here. We just got rid of Sarver. This is the worst possible situation. Ever since then, there has been a lot of rumblings that Isaiah Thomas is actually the one controlling everything behind the scenes. And there's a disconnect. Frank Vogel and his coaching style, he likes a Roy Hibbert, Anthony Davis, he had Marc Gasol and he had Dwight Howard, a couple other big-time centers, right? He had all those dudes being the down-low anchor. And then we go and trade for Yusuf Nurkic. Then reports just surfaced that we should have had a point guard. So there is clear disconnect right now between coach and front office. I'm going to flip it around to James Jones now. First off, James Jones, he should have traded DeAndre Ayton for Miles Turner way back when. I'm going to get that right out of the way. I said that shit back in 2021 that he should have done that, all right? So that's a major L on James Jones. But James Jones likes to build his roster like a 3x5 card. Y'all remember that? 3x5? You got your starters, point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center, and you have three backups. or two backups, but you have 3 dudes at all those positions, right? 3x5. Now it's positionless basketball, right? There is a clear disconnect from what James Jones told us for 2, 3, 4 seasons, what we see in Frank Vogel's coaching history, and then with Matt Ishbia. We can talk about Josh Bartlestein, but he's rarely in the news, so I don't even know how much he really talks and or has control over everything. So, does Matt Ishbia control too much? Is he dabbling too much? Is Isaiah Thomas in control? And why is there some sort of disconnect between coach, GM, front office, whatever it may be? There's a lot of information there to take in. Randy, it's been a minute since you've been with us. I'd love to start with you.
Me personally, I don't think so. I don't think so because honestly, I feel like these are all the opinions or like all the feelings we would have, like only because we lost. Like if we win, I don't think we're having this conversation. I don't think we're like, oh, he's being a little bit too controlling. He doesn't know what he's doing or whatever, or like people feel a way about it in general. Like if we win, if we go out and we did what we were supposed to do for an entire season, I don't think, because I feel like Matt came in, cleaned up, and did everything the right way. I feel like sometimes that's what it looked like as like a new owner, just, you know what I'm saying, spending money, just trying to get right, trying to win a championship. And I feel like this is what it may look like, where it's just like high risk, high reward kind of thing. And then it's kind of like, you know, the Pete Carroll thing at the Super Bowl, where it's like you threw it, yeah, you know what I mean? Like you should have handed it off to Marshawn, but if you'd have caught it, everybody would have looked at you like a genius kind of thing. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna give him too much.
Jay?
Oh geez, yeah, here he goes. Jay Joyce collided with fallen founder and gave him a first round pick in fantasy. Hey, dude, I do not like the ad that we used.
Last time Spec saw Jay, he looked homeless.
Jeez, dude, yeah, like it's so funny. It just real quick.
He's on fire.
I see my customers pretty regularly, and like when I get a haircut, they act like I'm like a completely different person, like they haven't met me before, and like I need to get my haircut more because like every time I like I get my haircut, people just like trip out. So, but yeah, it's tough. Matt has done so much good for the Suns organization so far. And I'm still not really buying into the new owner syndrome and shit. Like it was sort of at timing that was already sort of happening. That motion was already set forward with Kevin Durant putting in his trade request, wanting to come to Phoenix, wanting to play with Devin Booker. And
that part's true. I agree with that.
Cards laid where they were. And, we were in basketball purgatory as Suns fans. And, after the Game 7 collapse, the energy was different. Something needed to change. We were going through a rough health stretch as well. We were rolling out lineups the first half of the year with Okogie, Damian Lee, no Book, no Chris. And, we're just basically running all bench players for a minute. And Book has shown 9 in, 9 out for multiple years that all he needs is a second co-star to score alongside him. And we got that for him. Mikal wasn't going to be that guy. All of us wanted Mikal to be that guy. And we waited so long. We needed him in the Milwaukee series. We needed him in the Pelican series. And like he made timely, shots, but it just wasn't consistent enough. And the same thing with Cam Johnson with his health. So Matt did what was necessary for that time, the Kevin Durant trade. And, with out with the old, in with the new, with not only the roster as a whole, but with his new CBA trying to construct things. I mean, this new CBA just fucks so many teams in so many different ways. It's unfortunate when you finally get an owner that is willing to spend money and all these rules and regulations come out that the LA has thrived with, Miami, New York, all those big box places. Yeah, the Golden State, all these franchises have gone decades and decades spending all this money and with no repercussions. And, like once we get an owner that's ready to spend.
The time the Phoenix Suns do it, let's change the fucking rules. Yeah. Let's drug test the Suns.
another conspiracy, so like it's just unfortunate timing, but I mean, there's people in the front office that know the ins and outs of the CBA and try to get things in order. And when you go into the offseason trying to put together a championship team, you have Kevin Durant. He's not getting any younger. You have Book in his prime. And, you're juggling all these contracts and how you can construct this team. And we'll get into James Jones a little bit later. But, when you're Matt Ishaba and you're trying to, make a impact like with the team as much as he has, he does need to kind of step back and let GMs GM, like as of right now, we don't know if James Jones is the one, constructing all this. We don't know if it's Barlstein. We don't know if it's Isaiah Thomas. Things are so cloudy, and I don't think that's necessarily a good look. And I know there's going to be people bringing up that fucking that mortgage situation that Dan Gilbert dropped right before we played Cleveland and all, like that little story. That was dumb. That was just fishing for some negativity. But I think Matt has done so much good, and especially with the stuff surrounding Dave King, and just giving back to the community, at keeping the peace with everybody. But me personally, Matt just needs to step back a bit, and we need a conclusive answer about who's really constructing this roster. So if shit hits the fan, we're not yelling at Matt, we're yelling at the GM, and we could.
But I don't know. I don't know if I'm mad at that, only because I feel like Matt kind of came into a situation where he had to make a lot of people happy, and he was successful. And I feel like his kind of like thing was, his thing that he was weighing out was, I got to make the fans happy, obviously, by putting it on regular TV, getting the players, and I got to make Frank happy. So it's like we got this compromise. I can't give you a point guard, but I can give you length or players that play defense. So it's just like that compromise. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like he came in trying to make a lot of people happy, and he was just like, you know what? Like, I'll get us as much talent as we can, and I feel like that's a good problem to have. Like, if these dudes can figure it out or not. And I feel like that's kind of like how he weighed it out, in my opinion.
Sure. I think, sure. Yeah.
Salty says we're going too easy on Ishbia. I'm trying to, as Jay was talking, I'm putting myself kind of back into that frame of mind when we just got ousted from Dallas. Book was out that whole, like 2 months out of that whole next year. Everybody was injured. Remember Jay Crowder wasn't playing. He had that whole holdout situation. Ishbia comes in, and don't make no mistake.
Don't forget about the Robert Sarver. That was the thing.
Dude, that's what I was going to say. Dude had a lot of shit to clean up outside of just basketball. Just purely being a good organization and doing the right thing and not being a huge piece of shit and having goats shit in offices. And, we could go down that whole road, but we're not gonna. But he came in and had to clean up a lot of stuff, man. So the moves that he's made off the court, I think everybody would agree with, is great. I was against. My initial thought with the KD trade was I was against it. I didn't feel like that was the right thing to do. I thought it was giving up way too much. I thought we needed to keep one of Cam Johnson or Mikal Bridges. Clearly, obviously, we needed to keep one of them. And on top of that, I just lost my fucking train of thought. But either way, I thought at the time we needed to shake things up, and I bought into the KD hype, man. I've totally bought into it. And now you look at everything that's happened since KD's come here. I think it was an awful move. But here's what I was gonna say. The key to this is James Jones did not want to make that move. James Jones did not want to add a Cam Johnson to that move or a Mikal Bridges. He did not want to do that. That's an A+ for me in my book. Like, he saw the talent that was coming back and going and saw the mesh or didn't mesh and didn't want to do it. And so I can't blame Ishbia for coming in and pushing that move and going for it. Salty, I know you and I have talked. You can't blame him for going for it. Nobody's gonna hate him for going for it. Nobody thought the Beal trade was going to be as bad as it fucking was. And you know what? At that point, he said, chips are all in. We can't ever make these deals again. Nobody wants Chris Paul. I think everybody would probably make that trade again, right? Beal
everybody makes that move.
Shaman and Chris Paul from where Beal was last year. Obviously, Beal was absolute garbage and dog water. I want to get into that later. I can't blame him for going all in, but at the same time, you broke down a team that had pure organic chemistry, and the only thing we really needed to change was DeAndre Ayton, and he wasn't in the building to see DA for 5, 6, 7, however many years DeAndre Ayton was here, man. So he didn't get to see that. It's unfortunate that it didn't that it happened the way it was. I can't blame him for putting all the chips in. Everybody wanted it at the fucking time. We were all stoked. I bought into it, right? But it didn't fucking work. And at the end of the day, now we need to look at it and be like, is Ishbia doing too much? Is Isaiah Thomas controlling this? And that's the fucking question. At the end of the day, what needs to happen is we need to throw, and this is where the CBA don't fucking matter, throw a bag and a half to Bob Myers, let him run everything, and go from there. Throw him the fucking bag and give him the keys. You step back and you keep making the business decisions like you're doing. You're doing amazing at that. I love the Mercury new court, the Mercury New Jersey. I don't watch a lot of WNBA. I don't have time. I don't have time outside of my sports capacity to pick up something else. I love everything that you've done, but you've got to step the fuck back. But I agree with you, Jay. I don't think it's a case of new owner syndrome yet. And this offseason is going to tell a whole lot of shit. Randy, I know you wanted to talk. I'm sorry. I got
No. I was just listening because, like I said, I agree with you on some of that, and I disagree on like a little bit of it, just because like it's just so tough because it's like one of those hindsight things. Because, like I said, if this works, I don't think we have this obviously we don't have this conversation. So it's just so tough. And like I said, Matt to me did nothing wrong. Because, like I said, he had to appease a lot of people. Like, you're forgetting about, like, the Ring of Honor with Amari and, you know what I'm saying? Like, all the stuff that he had to make right.
Yes.
Like I said,
Thank you, Randy. Yes.
Like, the complete meltdown between Monty and, like, the whole locker room and, like, making sure Booker is happy with giving him everything he wants in the sense of, like, a super team. So, it's just, like, I kind of get it to where it's just, like, you know what? Like, this is a good problem to have. Like, being a little top heavy, or you know what I mean. So I'm with him. Like I'm with Matt on that. So.
Jay.
Yeah, no, it's like just circling back. I just can't blame Matt, really at all. If I can fault him for anything, if his hands are too much in the weeds and basketball operations, I think he just needs to step back a bit, make the culture better. Like he's been upgrading the arena, keep doing that, just keep on keeping on, do what an owner does, be what Robert Sarver wasn't, so like I just want basketball people running the basketball operations. Oh yeah, what's up?
I got a question for you guys. Would you guys rather be like the Miami Heat? Because I feel like Matt did the opposite of like what the Heat does. Like in the sense of, I feel like a lot of Heat, if you talk to Heat fans and stuff like that, like they have a lot of moves that they could make, but like they hold back on a lot of shit. You know what I mean? And then like it ends up working at the end because they end up making like deep playoff runs or whatever. So my question to you guys, like, would you rather be the Heat in the sense of like he stepped back and just let James Jones, because there is clearly like a different, you know what I mean?
No, it's not. I want Bob Myers to do that. I want a head of basketball operations or whatever the title is called. I want the first and foremost dude, and I want him answering to absolutely everything, good, bad, and different that happens in a season, from an injury to a good game to getting ousted in the playoffs. I want that to be the dude answering. And then I want Matt to come in and be that guest appearance, that celebrity shot, and say, no, I have full trust in them. We're going to keep working harder. I'm going to wake up at 2 a.m. now to make sure I do this, this, and this. I want Matt to do that. He needs to step the fuck back and head of basketball operations, whoever that is, he's the one that needs to answer to everything top to bottom. That includes to James Jones. But we need clarification of who's controlling the team, and I don't think we're going to figure that out because we did not want Isaiah Thomas, and I hope to God Matt Ishbia knows what's up with that. And let's not act like Matt Ishbia is some basketball savant because he rode the bench for 4 years and won a natty, right? Like, let's not act like he knows exactly what the fuck is going on or how to build a basketball team or how to coach a basketball team or any of that too. And that's my problem right there.
So you wouldn't feel away if the rumors came out like, oh, like the Suns could have got Damian Lillard. Oh, the Suns could have got da-da-da-da-da. And it's just like, we just don't pull the trigger on anybody. That wouldn't make you a vote?
You want to go with?
I it's hard to say that right now just because he's only been a year and a handful of months into it. I I just want to know who's running basketball operations so that we can begin to form an identity.
Because we know it's Pat Riley. You know,
Yeah,
Right.
that's
constructed
what
all
I'm
this.
saying.
Yeah,
We know
yeah.
Pat Riley's calling the chords. Do you guys know the name of the Miami Heat owner?
No.
Damn, I'm spacing. Um,
His name is Mickey Arison. I had to look it up. I don't even. That's
okay.
that's my
Okay.
fucking
I was
point. That's the point I'm trying to make though.
Yeah. No, that's totally fair. And like NBA owners, I mean, it's like they don't really there really isn't any vacant jobs that come to often when it comes to owning a sports franchise. So Matt is going to be under the spotlight until Minnesota figures out their shit with A-Rod and all that, and then it's just going to keep on going. They said the same thing with Steve Ballmer, but hey, the Clippers still in the playoffs, and they have one on Dallas right now, and Dallas, in my opinion, is a better team. So, this stuff is going to take time if you make the right moves. I just asked Matt, keep doing what he's doing, but let the people that you hire, trust them to make those judgments, the betterment of the team. You guys are gentlemen. But with the whole Miami thing, I'm not trying to be like the Knicks and be like, oh, they're going after this guy, this, that, and the third,
Yeah.
James
And
Jones
never
had
get
his
him.
reservations
And never
because
get
James Jones has had some F ups in the draft. I can acknowledge that, but at the same time, he did put together a almost championship caliber team. So, I mean,
I never want to hear about anybody tanking on a draft or nothing like that shit. Nobody fucking knows. Go back and watch Moneyball, man. Nobody fucking knows. Nobody has any idea.
Yeah.
If we all knew Tyrese Halliburton would have been drafted top fucking 3. Nobody knows, period. And just because you draft a dude that could be the next Halliburton or Luka or whatever, doesn't mean the situation that they're in is going to make that player shine the brightest. It takes a special situation, a special coach, special role players, all that to make ABC player do what they do. So don't ever talk about the drafts. So-and-so player missed this, missed that, whatever. Everybody misses, everybody whiffs, everybody hits. Squash that shit. I'm tired of talking about we should have had this dude.
No, 100%. And during that time as well, I heard James Smith's name a lot more than I did Tyrese Halliburton, and that's just me personally. And plus we needed a better center rotation at that time. And what do you know? We need a better one now. So
should have drafted Desmond Bain. Wait, no, I'm not going to do that. Anything else on Ishbia quickly?
Not too much.
No,
I said, I feel from what he inherited.
All right. Let's get it. No. Let's get into Big Frank. Let's get into Big motherfucking Frank. Ooh. Frank the Tank, not the tank that we knew, but the tank as in bottom of the fucking league tank. Frank is gonna tank the Suns. This dude needs to be fired ASAP. I don't ever want to see him coaching again. If the reports are true that he wanted a point guard and front office and give it to him, that's great. Cool, whatever. At the end of the day, you are a defensive coach and you could not coach defense. You all right? You hear what I'm saying? Todd Graham at Arizona State University, his last 2 years had the worst defensive backs, the worst defensive passing defense in program history, literally bottom of the 131 FBS schools, and he was a defensive back and defensive back coach. If you are special at one thing and you get hired to do that one thing and you cannot perform said task, you need to get the fuck off my team. That shit was atrocious and garbage. We had dudes coming up half court in January games not matching up, thinking he's guarding some guy over there, and the guy with the ball just goes right down the lane and scores. They weren't even communicating. Now, we could talk about that's a player thing, but a player and a team take on the personality of their coach. Period. Stamp it. End of statement. I don't want to hear you, but the players weren't doing this. The players weren't doing that. You're right. Why weren't they doing that? Because they don't fucking respect Frank Vogel, y'all. They don't respect him. And clearly the decisions that he was making and telling them what to do, they were like, what the fuck is this? Like, they were looking at it like it was a joke. And they didn't want to do it. And they didn't respect the man. And that's why shit got sour. And that's why they were talking about going into game 4 saying we need to communicate more. It's because they didn't trust Frank Vogel. You lose the locker room, you need to go. Period. That is my fuck Frank Vogel's statement. And you know what? He's still the fucking coach right now. What the shit?
Yeah.
You go, Randy.
All right. I'm with you. Like I said, on some of that. Only reason why I say that Frank should go is only because he lost the locker room. I don't think personally, from what I've seen this season, from what I've seen in the postseason, it's not too many games defensively, if we're talking about defense, where I feel like, oh shit, like what are we doing on defense? It's a lot of what the fuck are we doing on offense? Like a lot of nights, I feel like even with the Minnesota series, like I don't contribute that L to a lack of defense. I feel like we played Anthony Edwards relatively good. You know what I'm saying? Like being
good
how
enough,
great he
right?
is.
We played good enough. We held them to like 102 points one game. Good enough.
I feel like I said, I feel like we played good defense. I feel like we had a lot of breakdowns, but then that goes back to the people aren't bought into you. So it's just like a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't say like nobody like really like killed us. I feel like it was a lot of, especially just how offensively heavy we are. That's just automatically just where I'm gonna go. Like mentally, like we need to be able to outscore whatever they're doing on the other side. And you know what I'm saying? Like defensively, as long as he can scheme something that we don't lose by, you know what I'm saying? Like just do something wild, like I don't know, like fucking man to man, like Monty, just everything, you know what I mean? So but yeah, so to me, I think he should go just strictly off the fact that he lost the locker room, not because
He's on fire.
But go ahead.
Preach. Amen. Perfect.
Yeah. So this thing has layers for me personally. I will say I am in the Frank Vogel camp. Dude, like it's the offense for me, man. And I don't care if he's running the defense, Kevin Young is running the offense, but like the final decision is on him and what he wants to really run. You know, we're never going to know the full capacity of what Kevin Young's role really was, but there was no point in the season where the offense looked gelled, like not at all. And you could make the case the only game was that last Minnesota game in the regular season when we looked like a complete team. And I did not feel good about that going into the playoffs. I knew how good the Minnesota was, and I mean, the rest is history. Frank Vogel, yeah, the defense, dude. Some of it's personnel, sure, but dude, like, there's no way you have 5 guys lost, like that. You have to have 2 or 3 defenders that know what they're doing at all times, and I don't think that's necessarily a personnel issue. I mean, this is simple rotations, and if we're helping the helper, we're diving down the middle, we're closing out on corner threes. This is like grade school shit, man. I mean, I can do this with my eyes closed, and I'm not even like trying to like gloat or anything like that. I mean, I played ball for many, many years, nowhere near.
Closing out a 3-point shooter is what I taught my freshmen in basketball.
Yeah, dude. Everyone wants to shoot, and I mean the NBA is no different. I mean, the three's going up. The three's more efficient shot than anywhere else on the court besides in the paint. So, like, the fact that we couldn't even close out around the perimeter was red flag number 1.
We weren't helping the helper. Kevin Durant's defense was fucking piss poor. Kevin Durant off the ball coming down low was actually more above average than I had expected. He helped a lot of big dudes down low. I was pleasantly surprised with that. Anything on the perimeter, the big thing that Minnesota got us is that they had the ability to guard 2 people at once. So when they would come flash 2 guys at the top, Jaden McDaniels or whoever would be down low guarding 2 people. And so if it went over to the corner, that guy would go to the corner and their other guys would rotate. We couldn't fucking do that to save our goddamn life. It was pathetic. We could do it with Monty. We could do it when we had Kelly Oubre and Ricky Rubio and shit. We had no problem doing that. Nobody would do it, and it starts with the big three, and you never saw them putting in effort because they weren't held accountable by their head coach. Yeah, Randy.
Yeah, I was just about to say, because I feel like we're giving a lot to Frank, but I feel like giving Frank all of this, like, I guess, weight on why we lost or like he should be fired, I feel like gives Beal, Booker, and Durant like a pass on their leadership. Because I feel like
they're
Chris
gonna get
Paul and his leadership skills really has shown since now he's gone. You know what I mean? Because I feel like Chris Paul was that floor general out there that was an extension of Monty. Even when we were winning or losing, whatever the case may be, he still kind of made sure we executed whatever the fuck was talked about in the huddle. And I feel like absolutely nobody did that.
I completely agree, and we need to get to the mid three that somebody put up there. I love that. I remember somebody sharing that recently. Everybody hit us up on Facebook, on YouTube, and Twitter. Hit the like button, retweet this, do all that all that fun shit. Listen, the offense, Kevin Young, it was very rare. I saw more than 2 separate actions on a play, and anybody that needs to know, an action is a simple pick of some sort, a screen of some sort, whether it's a down screen, whether it's coming out of horns, whatever it might be, guys running across the baseline, whatever it is. We rarely ever saw more than one. And more than one that happened at the same time. That rarely happened. What did we see? We saw a 5 out, pick and roll, try to drive. If something wasn't there, pass it out. That guy tries to do something, pass it out, force up a shot, right? So yeah, we might have seen 3 or 4 actions, but it was all at different times. There was no synchronicity where a guy's flashing down below, screens for a guy on the corner while a pick and roll's up top and other things going around, right? That rarely happened. It did happen. It rarely happened. I would venture to say 5 to 7% of the time. For the most part, it was one-on-one ball with a couple picks here or there to try to get an open 3. Yeah, that's going to work Tuesday night against Sacramento, Thursday night against Detroit, right? This the playoffs, and I was counting those actions. Again, 5 to 8% of the time is when they ran more than 3 or 4 actions in the fucking playoffs. Most of it, game 4. So Kevin Young, your offensive trash. But to Jay's point, this is all speculation. We don't know who's talking to who's in whose ear, who's really controlling fucking what. We have no idea. All of this and what everybody's saying in the comments and what everybody's typing out on whatever sports site, it is all speculation. So get that clear, but this is just from what I've seen.
Just this alone is the offense absolutely drove me up a wall, and you're more of the defensive guy. I love defense. That's why I've been watching Minnesota as much as I have this season. But dude, there's no excuse to have a relatively healthy Kevin Durant all season, a Booker that's still putting up the numbers that he is, even though the eye test showed it was a down year. You have Bradley Beal sacrificing and doing whatever it takes for the team. You had a healthy Nurk, and everyone doubted Nurk's
games,
health ability.
76 games.
And then we had Grayson Allen, who just became a Chris Kyle sniper. All of a sudden
he's on fire.
And then us getting EG, in the off season as well. There's
Don't start with me.
There is no reason why the offense looked as bad as it did, and just that alone, I don't care if it was on Kevin Young. I'm glad he's leaving, but I don't care if it was on him or Frank Vogel. There's no excuse to have that level of, just level of not knowing what to do because
poor play,
poor offense. We saw literally in little spurts of Bradley Beal setting the screen for Book, using Beal as the roller, opening up that the nail wide open midi at points. We've seen Kevin Durant be part of the action. Booker getting the screen, Booker being able to kind of hedge off and get it open on top of the perimeter 3. We saw plays like this maybe once a game, and it was mostly iso ball. And our talent alone and Grayson Allen got us to the 6th seed and almost in the play-in. And the lack of coaching this season has been masterfully awful. And and I don't know why this is such a big surprise for the media. I mean, I know why, it's because they don't watch the games. But if the media actually listened to Suns fans, we were saying this shit back in December,
Yeah,
in November. Like
we got called
like
crazy.
there's yeah, like or like it's not necessarily the big three, even though Beal was dealing with his injuries. I mean, that comes with the territory. But there was just no continuity with this team, and even with the role players, because like yes, we had a bunch of turnover with all the wings that we got. I mean, we don't really need to talk about that, but it's like there's no reason why the offense should have looked the way that they did. I mean, it's just so crazy. I think Doc Rivers can run a better offense, like honestly, and we would be all right.
I people today are coming out and being like, maybe we should look at Mike D'Antoni, and I'm just like,
I'm not mad at that.
we've been hitting on so
You said
much
that shit in October.
we've been hitting this shit. There's so many things from DA to there's a lot more things we have talked about on this podcast, but we have been right and have been ahead of the curve on Twitter on a lot of things. I mean, y'all just need to listen to us more. But yeah, we were saying that before with hire Mike D'Antoni. But
How do y'all feel
offense
though?
Real
I was about
quick,
to say,
I
go
heard
ahead.
I heard on Gambo and what's his name this afternoon that Kevin
Burns?
Young, yeah, I said the same thing, Creepy Crawley, who's in here saying Kevin Young said in his BYU intro that he likes to play at the rim and from deep offensively, so the guys weren't listening. Kevin Young also went on, and Burns and Gambo said this, and Kevin Young said that I also have a couple elite midi shooters, and so I also have to play to their strengths. What should I do? Take them away from that? And like, you got that's a valid point. That's a very valid point, right? You got to kind of look at all this and see what's what. But to his last point, they weren't listening. This is the NBA, bro. We shooting threes and we go into the hoop. They are wasting so much energy, KD and Book, even Beal to a point, on trying to get open, playing one-on-one, and shooting the midi. They're wasting so much energy. Randy, what'd you have?
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I can't blame all of this on Frank and the offense and Kevin Young, because, like I said, I feel like at some point they have to take accountability in the sense of how much did they not fuck with the coaching staff to the point to where like they didn't even give a fuck to even do their own kind of research in the sense of figuring out what works. Because I feel like during the series, Chris Paul would have figured out, okay, this play works. Let's continue to run this until they figure it out. And I feel like nobody took the initiative to be like, let's figure something out. Because I feel like Minnesota made no adjustments from game 1 to game 4. So
they don't have to.
That's what I'm saying. And I feel like as an IQ player,
because we had
as
an offensive scheme, we had nothing to go to.
Yeah, so I feel like as an offensive player or just like a player with IQ, my thing would be like, I need to figure out something, the whole, like everybody's had the same defense. Like there's a way, you know what I'm saying? You can figure out the open spots where you can get to your spot or how to expose it. And the fact that nobody took initiative, like as the big three, to be like, all right, like I know if we do this and the third, this will work. That's the part where I'm like, I'm not letting y'all off the hook.
And let's now transition to the big three. We need a brand new coaching staff. I think most people believe that. I don't know about the player development guys and whatever. Big three, yeah. Nobody nutted up and said, let's do this, right? That's exactly right. I feel like Bradley Beal definitely was not in a position to do that. So that's on Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, right? Mm-hmm. Remind me, Jay Joyce, whose team is this? Is this Booker's team or is this Kevin Durant's team?
Booker.
Okay.
Yeah. And I feel like that was this season was kind of confirmation for me a little bit that it wasn't all on DA. You know what I mean? Like, I know we give him a lot of shit or whatever, but
we ain't talking about DeAndre Ayton. We already took it.
And like, it wasn't all him. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't agree with a lot of shit he did while he was here, but it wasn't all him. He wasn't crazy.
You are completely right. It wasn't all him, but at the same time, he wasn't helping the situation. And
I agree.
Worn out his welcome. You saw it in the second or third game against Portland. He's like, fuck Phoenix on the sideline. Like, it clearly just wasn't going to work. Clearly. Again, we should have traded for Miles Turner. There's something else I was saying back in before that trade rumor even came out. So there's another thing that I was dinging right on, as well as DeMontis Sabonis. Not that that would have mattered in this situation anyways. It probably would have been just as shit. But you are right. Nobody nutted up and said, let's do this, let's do that. Chris Paul would have done this. Chris Paul would have done that. Kevin Durant, on the other hand, dude, I don't like his demeanor. I don't like the way he's acting. I don't like his passive nature. It could be misconstrued as passive aggressiveness. I felt like when Chris Paul was here, Devin Booker had a killer mentality. He had that Mamba mentality, and now with KD, he's just chilling. Like, I'm fine. I'm just chilling. Like, I don't like any of that. I mean, do y'all want KD out of here? Are you okay if we look into KD trades at this point? Are we wanting him gone? Is there anything else we need to speak on other than the fact that the mid three did not put in the effort this year? Point blank, period. They did not look like they gave two shits for a couple $50 million players. But do y'all want KD here? That's the question.
Yeah, I do. And I like, relatively speaking, this is Kevin Durant's first season. I'm not really going to count last season. We got him on, 10 days before we, went into the playoffs and stuff.
Busted his ankle in a layup line.
But Kevin Durant was one of the very few things that were positive this season for the most part. He's one of my favorite players of all time. It's an honor to watch him play. And I knew the type of player we were getting. I knew he was going to be like the vocal leader, at least like on the court and stuff. He's a lead by example guy. He's a guy that in the right sort of circumstance, I mean, he can thrive. And what this offense was this season did not play at all to what he does best. Like, having what made the Nets big three so scary, and when they were together and playing, why they look so good, is those three guys were always in the same action, and they were always playing off each other. They forced it to each other, and Kevin Durant was able to free roam, and James Harden was able to facilitate, and Kyrie was just being Kyrie. And having that formula made things look really good, but health was the issue with that team. But with this current Phoenix Suns team, I'm putting most of the blame on Booker. Kevin Durant, he just got here, brand new coaching staff, brand new players, brand new system, or lack of system. I mean, however you want to phrase it. Kevin Durant has been being put in a corner, being essentially in the Mikal Bridges role, but not attacking the rim, because that's not what the action requires, apparently. So Kevin Durant, when he's able to just take over games, we saw the brilliance of that. And that's with no offensive structure. And with Devin Booker, this is where I'm going to with this. Like, this is his fucking team. And like, I'm not going to entertain the thought of trading him, because this is his team. Like, Phoenix is his city. Everyone is rooting for him. We want a championship here more than anything. But Devin Booker, he was kicking back this season. He was going with the flow, and we're in championship mode. We have limited time to make this work, because in the next from now until 2030, I mean, we're going to be pretty tight and hamstrung, and it's going to be hard to make things work. And no scouting department is able to hit on one pick a year. So like there's a lot of things that need to go right for this to pan out, but it starts with Devin Booker. Like, he needs to be in control, and he was when he was healthy in the first half of the season. He was holding bench players accountable. I mean, everyone remembers that Metu pass, and like Luka grabbed it, took it, and like Booker yelled at Metu. He's like, "You're not going to run back," and stuff. Like, Booker was doing that, but the turnover with this team, I think, just took a big chunk out of this team's personality this season. But Book, he needs to be a better leader, and if Kevin Durant's not going to do it, and I don't know if you all have been in this situation, but like working in a workplace, and you're like the young guy, and you have to tell older guys what to do. Like, I don't know if there's like because I've always felt weird about that personally. Like, I don't think if I was in Devin Booker's shoes, I'm telling Kevin Durant necessarily what to do, and that's where a floor general comes in. And I don't think that's not necessarily Bradley Beal, because that's not what we got him for. We got him to score and possibly facilitate some actions. But if we need to get a point guard to make this shit work, like make it work, and if Frank is asking for a point guard, get him a fucking point guard. I mean, we're working on limited time here. Like, I'm not trying to, harp on the same stuff and recycle whatever what the media's been saying. But I don't think we've needed a point guard. We just never had a offensive structure to lean back on. We could not run the same play 2 times in a row this season. Like just off muscle memory. So it's yeah, you're on mute, Evan. But you're on mute, Evan.
My bad. Why is Mikal Bridges able to able to score 20 to 25 standing in the corner, but KD can't? I feel like that was the perfect situation for KD. Number one, you get an open 3. It's the corner. It's the short corner. It's shorter than everywhere else, so that's a bonus. Number two, by the time the ball gets to him, the defense should already be broken down because you're passing out to the corner. All he's got to do is make one move, one pump fake, do whatever, and all of a sudden he's at the 18 to 20 foot range, which is where he thrives. So he's not accepting his role. And the thing on Booker leading, when Ricky Rubio came in and when Chris Paul came in, those are both dudes that have the ball a lot, and they were telling everybody kind of what to do. Right? They were kind of the natural leader because they're the point guard. So maybe Booker was used to having this older player come in and kind of point and direct him where to do it. Maybe Booker was expecting that. I don't know. Either way, homie's going to be 26, 27, I think, in October, and now's the time to really step up. And don't get on Chimezie Metu for doing that when you're not going to call out anybody else the whole fucking season. Give me a break.
Right. And I feel like because Devin Booker obviously knows it's his franchise and stuff like that, I feel like Bradley Beal, and that's like where my love-hate for Bradley Beal kind of came in, where it's just like he kind of recognized from the door, like, hey, this ain't my team, so don't look for me to do leadership kind of qualities. And I feel like that's still a little bullshit, but it is what it is. But I feel like I said with Booker, in a sense, it's a lot of, I think that this season showed me a lot about Booker in the sense of, I think he is super cocky. Like, that's a realization I came to this season. If I'm being oblivious, oh, my bad. But I feel like he's super cocky. I think he's better. Well, he thinks he's better than what he is. You know what I mean? And I feel like that kind of translates amongst the team and amongst like the season and the series. Because I feel like a lot of times this season, it was a lot of just not being prepared. Like, we lost a lot of games. You know what I'm saying? I feel like we kind of coasted and we kind of gave us the fans, and that's why I was like kind of like mad about it in the beginning of the season, where it's just like, oh, like we got fucking Bill, all we got to do is get healthy. And I feel like that was everybody's mindset, where it's just like we're not worried about nothing else, nobody else, can't nobody fuck with us. It's just as long as we get right, we're better than everybody. And I feel like that's where we went wrong at. And I feel like the head of that snake is Devin Booker, because I feel like hearing him talk and stuff like that, just like how much he talks shit or whatever, I'm kind of realizing like, oh, like he is extremely cocky. And I could also, you know what I'm saying, it's good, but then also it could be bad.
It could rub some people the wrong way, which I think him and Chris Paul rubbed DeAndre Ayton the wrong way, because DeAndre Ayton is a gentle soul. He needs to be cared and nurtured. He's a flower, right? Motherfucker needs to be watered, soiled, and all that shit. And
he's
gonna hibernate half the year.
That's leadership.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when you're a leader, you got to know what kind of person and how to get the best out of everybody. Like, everybody's not going to
not in athletics. Not in athletics.
I disagree.
Not when you're a top 10 team and you're being paid as a top 3 center. In my opinion, it's nut up or shut up.
I hear you, but I feel like I disagree just because I don't know. Not trying to translate it to like football or whatever, but like if you listen to some of the great, or like if you listen to like LT, like his coaches talk to him a different tone than when they talk to other players. So he said that I'm not that kind of guy. Like, I don't respond well to people yelling at me and doing all this. And that's like one of the best defensive football players of all time. So it's like, I get what you're saying. I don't think that you're wrong in it, but also like, it depends. I think it's a case by case kind of thing.
You also can't be soft either.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't think
which,
LT was. Soft,
I mean, you're in.
but you know
No,
what I mean?
no, I'm talking
You,
DA.
you're,
I ain't
Yeah,
talking about LT. I think DA. So we're all in agreement. Booker needs to be a better leader, more vocal, more
just better,
everything.
just
And
better.
dude, all these dudes need to give a fuck on defense. That's I regardless of all the shit that went wrong, if these dudes put in 10 to 15% more effort, I think we win 4 to 8 more games. We put us in we were only 8 games back in the win column for number 1 seed. You know, we can go and win 2 or 3 of those fucking San Antonio games, right? The
right.
one game
Mhm.
where Beal goes for the steal against Golden State and they pop it at the buzzer, right? Like, all there's so many games where we could have easily been the number 1 seed if they put 10 to
Yeah,
15% more effort. The fact that they didn't put in the effort, to me, it goes back to the coaching. It has to. You're prepared or not prepared because of coaching. Somebody remind me, maybe in the chat, what was Book talking about with going into game 4? We can't be unprepared or something like that. Does that sound familiar?
yeah, it's something around those lines. Yeah,
Yeah, so we have to be more prepared or whatever. So that either goes you're not paying attention to the scouting report, which I highly doubt Book, Beal, and Katie are not, or you don't respect your coach. All that goes back to
Or
that. If they can get a coach where they can buy in, you're gonna get that extra 10 to 15% of energy right there, in my opinion.
or you're in that uncomfortable kind of situation where like you're throwing subs to people that you talk to every day. Whereas it's like I feel like that's a lot of Book. Like, you know what I mean? Where it's like you won't directly call out Kevin Durant for some shit. Or like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
same thing with you won't call out Bill directly for some shit, but you'll throw a sub, be like, damn, we need to rebound this motherfucker more. And it's just like,
Yep.
well, we only look for 2 people. Like you only could be talking to 2 people. So you know what I mean? Like you might as well just put a name on it and
I
be
mean,
like,
and if you're Yuta Watanabe and you're getting shit on the sideline, but you're seeing KD and Beal do the same shit and no one's saying shit to them, that's how you lose the team too.
there it is.
like
Uh,
I'm 100% agreement with everything that y'all say. Y'all saying if I had to rank, blame, it's like the coaching 100%, a Book, KD, and then Beal's barely in the conversation because he just got here and he wasn't really that healthy this season. And he sacrificed more than anybody else on this goddamn team, and and he had a really really bad closing game. And I mean
Really bad.
that's a common thing for Phoenix
Like the
Suns
worst.
players apparently.
all-time
Like the
joke.
worst.
Elimination games.
Like
Yeah, so
that shit is
it's
historic.
statistically like one of the worst ones. Yeah, so like if we need a floor general, if we need somebody to hold these guys accountable in some sort of way, if we need to get Draymond Green out of all people, like let's do it, because like this team can work. I can see this big three working. Like Kevin Durant and Book put on a masterclass in that closing game. Like Book finally looked comfortable. He knew how to get around these hedging screens from Jaden McDaniels. KD was able to get his mismatches and shit. And Beal not being a threat, kind of cost us the game a bit. But we can see what Book and KD can do. Like they're not like they gel really well, but there needs to be a offensive structure that allows Kevin Durant to do like what he does best. And what Kevin Durant does best is he gets to his spots, he pulls them, and he just does what he does. He's a hooper, like sticking him in a corner, like might as well just have kept Mikal Bridges. That's really just where I'm at.
Can I ask you a question about that? Did it bother you guys that Kevin Durant for like the last month, 2 months, even in that Minnesota series, like he's getting double teams? Did that bother any of you guys? Like, did you guys
what
notice
double
that?
teams you cut out?
He stopped getting double teams. Like the teams just stopped double teaming him. Like that last month, and especially against like Minnesota, like he stopped getting double teams.
Because
Like
he
completely.
he wasn't really a threat, man.
KD doesn't have the same speed. Like,
nah, man.
Like, and when, you're going against Minnesota, I mean, you trust your defenders, like it's like Booker's a big, Katie stands might disagree with me. I mean, I don't really care, but like Booker's more threatening offensive threat. I mean, he can score literally everywhere as in transition as quickly as possible. Like Book is a more versatile scorer, KD's a more dangerous scorer, and like Booker is he's trying to find the mismatch. KD, it doesn't really matter. Like he's gonna shoot over you, and it doesn't really matter. And I think just most teams trust their defenders, and we rolled
on
a bad
KD
hand.
on
Yeah.
Kevin Durant. I don't
Yeah,
know. Guess
I'd rather double Booker than double Kevin Durant
I mean, right now
because
that sounds.
we've seen in the last couple, like just KD's just not as quick as he once was, and I think it's because
Yeah.
he's reserving so he doesn't get taken out by the knees again, and dealing with crash dummies and shit. So, like, I mean, he's just an older player, and he just like we got a healthy Kevin Durant season, and he was really good, but Booker
and it's a
scarier offensive option.
And it's a young man's league, man. It's young legs league.
It's
You
a young
gotta
man's
be able to
league.
get out, run up and down, guard in transition, and dude, KD can't do that shit. So we need to find other players that will do the extra stuff. Yo, I'm all on board with signing Pat Beverly, Draymond Green, Dylan Brooks. Like, bring
Yes.
all the villains
Yes.
over. You know what I mean? We need dudes
Yeah.
that will go out there and will be the leader one way or another, right? Like, I am all on board with that. I got a little surprise one for you though. For if we want to talk about improving rosters and trying to acquire different players, and a guy that has an option right now, or there's a team option, I believe. I would love to take a chance on a prove it deal on Lonzo Ball. I would love that. Look at what Sean Livingston did for the Dubs as that backup. Now, I don't know if he would be a backup. I mean, not playing for like a year and a half, almost 2 years at that point, you would think a backup role might be the way to go. So not really sure where that goes, but in a perfect world, if he was open to playing in a big three situation, right? And being that backup guard to come in and stabilize things, man, let me tell you, I would love to get a prove it deal on Lonzo Ball, and then that way you can get bird rights and lock him up if he does good. So that's kind of my secret pick right now. Like, I would love a guy like Lonzo Ball, but I do want to get into the rest of the roster real quick. What do you guys think of Lonzo? Just humor me or say you know what the fuck you're talking about, Coach.
No, I think he fits in well. Depending on, I think right now he does have a player option, so I don't see him turning down $20 million. But I think he fits in well, especially if everything that I feel like most of our success for the season has been when we move at a fast pace. Whenever we got to the half court setting, like we were fucked. So I feel like he fits if his knee can still go and he can still push the ball fast pace. I feel like he fits in. He does play defense, a bigger guard. I feel like that's exactly what we need.
He's got a player option
for
like 1 more year.
Yeah. I like Lonzo, and I like LaMelo too. I mean, they show effort on both ends of the floor. With Lonzo, very unfortunate injury that he's been dealing with the last few seasons. I mean, it's rough. If Lonzo was healthy this year, I mean, this Chicago team might have, made at least a somewhat decent run in the playoffs.
They were before he got hurt, man. They were really thriving.
They were good,
and killing it.
I
mean, I also hope for a way.
I'm a big fan of Lonzo.
Yeah. I want to get Alex Caruso here somehow, some way. I've been saying that one for a while. There are a lot of players on there. Let's go back to our current roster right now. Rumor is that Drew Eubanks is not going to pick up his option. I really need a celebratory like woo button or something here because I don't have that. He had the worst plus minus of any Phoenix Sun for the whole season, so we're all happy that he's fucking gone. Josh Okogie's got one. I wouldn't mind bringing him back, but I've also seen enough of him to the point where I'm like, I'm good, right? So if you can improve that 3-point shot, I don't know how good you are to me, but we do need that kind of defender. Yay or nay on Josh Okogie, Jay Joyce?
I'm more yay than I am nay.
Randy?
I think you need those sort of defenders to throw at people.
I'm yay if it's a vet min and it's only for the season. Only for like
it's only
games.
It's only for
like
one
we're not going to
season.
use them for the postseason.
No, oh yeah. It is that. I mean, I'm yay just because I don't know how many. I just don't know how many guys we're going to be able to attract to Phoenix and who we're actually legitimately going to be able to sign with what we have. So I'm yay for that reason on Josh Okogie. Guys like Saban Lee, Udoka, or Azubuike, I really don't be a two-way player. Ish Wainwright, be two-way. I really don't give a shit about them. They're not really moving the needle at all. Eric Gordon, yay or nay? I'm totally nay. What a bummer. We've been wanting him on the team for years, and that shit just didn't work out fucking at all. So that's a nay. Everybody else a nay?
Royce O'Neal, how do you guys feel?
No. Eric Gordon? Yes or no?
Oh, nay, it's an A for me because he
Yeah,
can't
Jay.
guard anybody. But we thought we were getting the one that killed us against the Clippers. When he was on the Clippers, he fucking killed us, and I was like, okay, cool, like I'll take that.
With a offensive structure, yay. But I mean, if nothing's going to change, then nay.
Who did you say, Randy?
Royce O'Neal.
You have to re-sign Royce O'Neal because you have his bird rights. I don't want him back, but you have to re-sign him for the fact that we can't sign anybody else. You can use that as a tradable contract in the future, and all we can do, we can't even sign. I forget what we can mid-level exceptions. We can only sign vet minimum deals. So you have to re-sign them just for the fact of bodies and bodies that can do things, right? At least you can throw him out there and trust him half the time. But he is who I said he was. That is why I didn't want Royce O'Neal, was because of his streakiness. Dude was a roller coaster of streakiness, man. That's exactly why I didn't want him. I ate crow for the first 2 weeks when he was slamming down 20 points a game, and then motherfucker just disappears and starts missing layups and looks
Man.
like the worst jump shot since Sean Marion, man. Fuck. And then he goes on a roll. He'll hit 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6 or something like that, right? But that's why I didn't want Royce. But you have to sign him because of our contract strangleholds right now.
I'm yay. I've liked what I've seen from Royce this year, and depending on the direction this team goes, if they buy into the modern day NBA, having a guy like that in place of a Grayson Allen would be, it like Royce is a good player, so like we're gonna have to resign him. Not have to, but you can't let him walk for nothing. It's a yay for me with the right system again. So
Yeah, now it's a nay, but obviously we signed him so we can figure out a way. Like I'm not mad to keep him. Like he's not one of the ones that's like, oh man, he needs to go. So
Yeah.
I'm not mad if we keep him, but also it's a nay because, like you said, like extremely streaky, and just watching him trying to like make a layup is literally cringy. It's like, like you can't hit a floater, or you can't just like it's crazy.
That's what I said about him when he was in Utah years and years ago. But you know what, Jay, man, what the fuck do I know, right? What do I know? I don't think we're gonna get Bol back.
Okay, no, I don't think either.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Nah, we don't have bird rights. He's an unrestricted free agent. Somebody's gonna hopefully pay him, right?
Let me ask you this: how do you feel about like Grayson Allen, like in the sense of like his role on this team?
His role on the team, that we have to have an identity first, and then we can have that conversation. For what he was on this team, he was one of the stabilizing presences, along with Yusuf Nurkic, who I want to get into in a minute too. He has his own set of what the fucks that we need to talk about, but Grayson Allen was a stabilizing presence, and I think he was the only player that played above expectations, by the way.
100%.
I agree.
Yeah, it's a identity thing for me. If we're not going to shoot threes, and Grayson Allen is going to be the only one shooting threes, trade him to Orlando. Get a center back, get another guard back.
Can't trade him until October or November, I believe. By the way,
just re-signed
him.
Yeah. So
the
like,
last person,
this team needs an identity.
We need to talk about Damian Lee. By the way, don't let me forget that. What are your thoughts on Grayson Allen, Randy?
I think that he should. Hot take. I think he should just be on the bench. I feel like he should come off the bench. I feel like he would benefit more off the bench, and if he's hot, then he can stay in the game, kind of thing. But I don't think that he should start. Like I don't think he should have been starting. Like granted, it's kind of hard to argue the numbers, but I don't think that he should have started.
Yeah, we should have started KBD, right?
Not even that. I feel like Josh Okogie with the starter unit, like he actually doesn't play bad. Like I get it, he can't shoot threes, but like he does a lot of the little things that we need. Like especially like nobody wants to point it out, but KD doesn't rebound the balls like he should. So it's just like
Right.
I feel like
Right.
Josh Okogie,
Correct.
he'll kind of
Yeah.
make up for some of that. Like he won't give the other team second chance points because I feel like that also killed us in the series against Minnesota.
I'm down for him coming off the bench, but honestly, I mean, we just don't have an identity, so I don't give a shit. But Fallen Founder, I mean, he's got a really good point right here. 3-point percent league leader on the bench. That's
I
a
mean,
really good point. I mean,
like we did it
I want
before
Beal on the
last season.
bench. I
Last
want
season,
Bradley
Damian Lee
Beal
was
off
coming
the
off the
bench.
bench. He was leading the league in 3-point for a hot second or for
Like-
a long period of time.
Yeah.
Like my thing
you're not
is, it's like what's the identity of this team? You know, like what's going to be more beneficial? Like if we use Grayson Allen and Yusuf Nurkic as bailout options when we couldn't make impossible like middies and shit, and I don't think that's just sustainable offense. You know, and luckily Grayson hit a ton. I mean, without Grayson, I mean we would have won like 20 games. I'm in favor of Grayson coming off the bench, and I think a Jake Crowder presence, like what Royce brings, I think can be beneficial. And same thing with Okogie. Okogie hates giving up rebounds. That's sort of what you need in a starting five that's sort of built this way, you know, like, and if we can get a better center, you know, down the line, however that works, that loves to get rebounds and having Okogie next to him, I mean, that's a recipe for good things in the kitchen. So, I mean, that's something you need to keep in mind, and I think that's what Frank Vogel is sort of shooting for. So,
So he's trying to rationalize my Grayson Allen take too. Like I feel like he would get more shots off the bench, like because it's been a lot of games where he'll like I look at the stats or whatever, like he'll go 4 for 6 from 3, and like that's all he had for it. Like that's all the shots he took all game. So I feel like off the bench he would get more looks. So.
And on top of that, I don't believe that having Grayson taken 6 to 8 shots in the first quarter in the first 8 minutes was always the best thing for the big three. I thought the big three needed to be the ones that got comfortable, and they need to be the ones taking the shots. So then when the defense starts adjusting to that, then that's when you can bring Grayson in, and all of a sudden he's playing. He comes in at the 4 or 5 minutes left, and he plays throughout the whatever second quarter, and then he can be a guy that starts the fourth quarter as well too, potentially play through the fourth to the very end if he's on fire, right? So those are things to look at, but we didn't have an identity. It was the same shit that Vogel was doing with the Lakers, man. He was pulling Marc Gasol, and then he's starting Dwight Howard. He's pulling him and starting who the fuck ever against the Suns in the 2021 run because he didn't know his own fucking personnel. And here we are in like game number 80. He pulls Grayson, puts in Royce O'Neal. I get blasted on Twitter, and motherfucker goes back game 81 and switches it right back, and Grayson's starting again. Like, the fuck was this? What the fuck was Frank Vogel doing? So he didn't even have a grasp on his roster, y'all. He didn't even know what to do. He was pulling shit out of the hat, and he's like, I'm gonna play Nas Little for 10 minutes in game 4.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing, bro? That shit's a fireable offense by itself. Now, I think Nas has something to him. Before he broke his nose, I thought he was playing really well. He was hyping the crowd up. He was a high riser, right? I mean, he could shoot the 3 every once in a while, but he broke his nose and everything went downhill, and then he just got buried on the fucking bench like everybody did. I feel bad for Metu, KBD, and Jordan Goodwin especially. Jordan Goodwin went out and won us fucking games when nobody else wanted to show up, and then we trade his ass, and then he gets buried on the bench. Bro, Vogel didn't know what the fuck we were doing. Jordan Goodwin was a player we desperately needed, and we just fucking got rid of him for Royce O'Neal when we probably could have gotten rid of somebody else like Okogie or who the fuck ever. But, you know, what does coach know? So that's Grayson Allen. Yusuf Nurkic, a steadying presence. And then I need to get going here pretty quickly. A steadying presence, played 76 games, great rebounder, great passer. I never want to see him shoot the three again. Couldn't finish around the fucking rim to save his life. And again, unfortunately, what this big three needed was a guy that can roll to the basket and fucking finish. We needed a JaVale McGee type of dude that could catch and finish at the rim. Now, DA could not do that, so I don't believe DA would have been good. He gets the ball in the lane and he goes up with a fucking baby hook or some dumb shit, right? We need a guy that could roll and that could finish, like Miles Turner or something like that. God forbid we make a right move. So having Yusuf Nurkic just never, I mean, I was excited for what he could do. He could unlock stuff, and I called exactly what he could do. Like, dudes are going to run backdoor. He's going to pass to him. He's going to be great at the high pick and roll. He's going to be great catching it at the elbow and being able to facilitate. He's going to get some boards. He's going to get blocks that you don't expect him to get, which he did. Outside of that, dude's going to suck at the free throw line. Dude's not going to be able to make a mid-range or a three-point shooter to make his life. And I didn't think he was that fucking bad at making a layup. Jesus Christ, he was awful at making a layup. I've never seen a 7-footer with worse touch around a rim except for maybe... Hold on.
Don't do it.
Don't
do it.
No, Pat Burke had skill. Kwame Brown. Kwame fucking
Okay.
Brown. There you go. Darko Milicic. Jesus
Brown.
Christ.
Yeah,
He was awful around the fucking
Yeah.
rim. He was god awful to the point where he was played off the court and we couldn't even fucking play him. Either that or we played Gobert off the court in game 4 and then we couldn't play Nurk. But either way, I don't think Nurk's the answer. I would be intrigued with a player like Vucevic trading for him just because he can spread the defense. At least he can do that. At least he can hit a midi. But again, it's not going to be the guy that's driving and that can finish, which is what the big three need, the mid three. But I don't see another dude out there that's going to be able to do that. And I don't think Claxton's going to be coming here. So ain't no way Claxton signs on a vet min to this shit show, right?
Right.
That's Nurk. So, Randy, go Nurk. Talk to me.
I'm with you, but like I said, I feel like everything with me just goes back to like the big three. Like, yeah, like there's a lot of things that Nurk needs to like improve on, but also too, like nobody on this team can make an entry pass. Like, you know what I mean? Nobody can make an entry pass. Nobody can throw a lob.
Nurk could. Nurk was the only one. Nurk was the only motherfucker that could.
Yeah, so it's like everything goes back to the big three. So it's just like there was a lot of plays where he did dive and he would get the ball late, or they would just throw a fucked up pass and he kind of had to make a play. Not excusing the blown layups, but I'm not mad at it. Only thing I'm mad about with Nurk is I feel like he underestimated how hard he had to set screens to get them open, because that's literally the only way like they could score. Because I feel like at some point during the season, it's like, damn, like nobody on this team could take somebody off of ISO. Like, that was the thing that was really alarming to me watching against Minnesota. Like, damn, nobody can take nobody on this team on an ISO. Like, that's crazy. But yeah, I'm not mad at it, but it is what it is. Like, if we can trade him for like maybe 2 pieces, it's all cool.
Yeah, Yusuf Nurkic is exactly who I thought we were getting. I mean, again, this goes to like people not really knowing the player that they're getting. You know, it's like I've watched Nurkic for years. I knew he wasn't a good finisher around the rim. I knew he was somewhat injury prone, like when he shattered his leg and all that stuff. And he did exactly what I thought he would do, and he kind of excelled in a lot of areas. I mean, again, he was one of the very few bright spots of this season, in my opinion. Like Nurkic, I mean, his passing ability is like really, really good. I mean, it's not Jokic passing level, but dude can hit a cutter easy. I mean, he can get, he can just feed anyone on the floor at will. His post moves are kind of non-existent. But you know, his screen setting is so great. And I hated when we went small against Minnesota and we were throwing out fucking Drew Eubanks because bro cannot set a screen. Like McDaniels was able to just go through him every single time. And when you have Nurkic out there, Book can at least get 5 feet of separation every time. And it's just a matter of, a team like Minnesota doubles or not, like Nurkic, like is good at everything that DA wasn't, and we got like the opposite of what DeAndre Ayton is. And it's not exactly what we needed. If I knew the offensive system was going to be what it was, I would have, like when Amin and I did a show before the season, and there was rumors that we were going after Yusuf Nurkic. And when we had DeAndre Ayton, I said I think we're cool because he's not going to dive at the rim, he's not going to do this and that, and Amin said this stuff around the same lines and shit, and I'm like, I think we're good. I mean, if we roll into the season with DeAndre Ayton, I think we'll be all right, and we can reassess around the trade deadline. But we made the trade, we got him, we got Grayson, we got Nas. And I wasn't surprised at what I saw from Nurk. I mean, I knew he wasn't a finisher. I knew he wasn't a shooter. And I don't mind a center 3 or 2 like in the first quarter if like the offense isn't going. It's just something to get things going, And I think Nurkic did his job, but I just don't think this is a good system for him really. And I don't think using him as a bailout option is going to get this team humming. So I would love Nick Claxton. I think he'd be perfect on this team. He's not going to sign a vet minimum. If he does, fantastic. But I mean, I think we have a lot to play with the center position. I think we know the exact archetype that we need, especially if we get a floor general, like a point guard in a sense. So
Christian Walker
I can't wait to
by the way.
talk about that.
D-backs up 1-0 on the Dodgers. That's good. We need to have a D-backs podcast soon and how shitty they've been. But sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. I just saw it go up.
Oh no, that's really it. I was just like, it's funny when people are surprised by certain players. Like Yusuf Nurkic. I mean, we've been watching for years. I mean, we know what he can do. We know what we can. We know exactly what he can do. And everyone was getting mad at the shit that he hasn't been able to do his whole career.
Well, that's because he's been injured, and that's what everybody was pissed off about, right? Like, we thought we were trading for an injury-prone dude, and turns out to be a stabilizing force. We've kind of gone through all the roster. I've got to hop out of here pretty quickly. We want to get in some other stuff with Cardinals and such, but you know what? We might just have an all not Suns podcast coming up soon. I think that's going to be the move for us. Randy, before you go, what do you have for us? It's been so long since we've seen you.
Nothing much, man. Just I'm gonna try to upload on my channel on a Stay Off My Grass podcast. I got a post game after a little rant after the last game of the season, but I'm gonna try to keep it steady. I think the news should be slow. I might make a video if we fire Frank, but outside of that, that's just where you can catch me.
And hey, tomorrow, remember, Ishbia and James Jones are speaking. I'm personally not expecting shit in that, right? There's just gonna be like the warm fuzzies. This is the media thing. I really don't expect a lot, but I'm surprised nobody's come out and said Vogel is fired or he is for sure staying on, like one way or another. Anyways, we're gonna take off here. Jay, where can they find you, dog?
You can find me at Jay Joyce on Twitter. Arizona sports content, all that stuff. So nothing too special there, but hey, if you want to message me, we can talk some shit. So.
We had over 70 people coming in and listening for a podcast that hasn't been going that long right now. I mean, we've been going for a long time, but we've had to take some time off due to personal matters. We appreciate everybody coming in. Please follow us at He's on Fire Pod, at Coach Evan B on Twitter. Hit us up on YouTube. That's where we can make the most money and impressions, obviously. So we would appreciate everybody subbing. Everybody give the thumbs up, all that fun stuff. Make sure you hit up Stay Off My Grass podcast. Also talking about some Sun stuff. Tomorrow's going to be an interesting day with Matt Ishbia and James Jones talking. I want to see if the Diamondbacks can come back and try to do something. It looks like no, they're not going to do anything here. Arizona State's a shit show. The Coyotes are gone. The Cardinals had a good draft. So we're going to focus that next time. He's on Fire podcast. Thanks for tuning in, y'all.
See you guys.
66. Loads up. Beating one deep. And it is caught.
Blitz coming. Bomber extending the play. Nobody there. Crosses the field. Larry Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald is Larry Fitzgerald is insane to the 4-yard line.
Crowder looking, throws it alley. Oh! He puts it down. He puts it down.
Steele in